Hi everyone, I am Kamar Mahmood, an MPhil scholar from University of Veterinary and Animal Sciences, Lahore, Pakistan. I feel privileged to present my poster at Global One Health 2020 conference organized by Ohio State University. The title of my poster is Prevalence and Risk Factors of Cystic Echinococcus in Food Animals. Now starting from introduction. Cystic echinococcus is a parasitic disease that is caused by a cyst toad, namely Echinococcus granulosus, that belongs to the genus Echinococcus. It's a zoonotic disease that can affect humans. Its life cycle involves carnivores as definitive host and any of the mammals, including human, as intermediate host. I will discuss it in detail after this section. In this disease, fluid-filled structures are found that are called hydrated cysts. These are mostly found in liver and lungs, but can also be found in spleen, bone, and even brain. These cause huge economic losses to livestock, such as poor growth of animals, reduced milk and meat production. Prevention programs focus on deworming of dogs and sheep that are its main hosts, improved food inspection, abattoir hygiene, and public education campaigns. Now, coming to its life cycle, the major definitive host is dog, and intermediate host can be sheep, cattle, other animals, and human. The adult parasite resides in the gut of dog, releasing eggs to the environment through feces. An intermediate host ingests the eggs, and oncosphere is released when egg hatches in the intestine. This oncosphere penetrates the intestinal mucosa and intercirculatory system of the host. It goes to various organs, especially liver and lungs, where it progresses to a hydrated cyst. The definitive host ingests offals of livestock containing cyst and become infected. The protoscolex attach to the bowel mucosa and grow into mature stages in dog. Now coming to its objectives. The main objectives of this study were to estimate the prevalence of Echinococcus granulosus in food animals of district Narwal, Pakistan, and investigation of various risk factors that are associated with the disease. In methodology, the identification was made at three stages: at abattoir by postmortem examination, and microscopy and PCR in the laboratory, where visceral organs were palpated and incised at abattoir to find the hydrated cyst. Fertility and viability of cyst was examined by microscopy. Cysts having protoscolex floating in the fluid were termed as a fertile cyst, while those lacking protoscolex in the fluid were termed as a non-fertile or sterile cyst. Viability was examined by staining with 0.1% eosin stain. Live or viable protoscolex were not stained, while the dead ones get stained by eosin. Conventional PCR was used for molecular identification of hydrated cysts using species-specific primers for Echinococcus granulosus. The whole process is given here in this picture. You can see that. Now coming to the most important chapter, that is results. We found 41 samples found positive out of 503 screened animals by PCR. NAD1 gene was targeted, showing a band of 2 to 6 base pairs as shown in this figure. An overall prevalence of 8.15% was recorded, with the highest in Tahsil Shakargarh, that is 11.04, then in Zafarwal, that is 7.69, then in Narwal it was a 6.02. Species-wise prevalence was also recorded. The highest prevalence was observed in cattle, 12.83%, followed by buffalo, sheep, and then goat. In organ-wise prevalence, two organs were found infected with cyst of Echinococcus granulosus. The highest rate of infection was observed in liver, followed by lungs, and then involvement of both organs at the same time. while analyzing the risk factors, species of animal, age of animal, feeding pattern, whether it's confined or grazing, and practice of dog keeping. These four factors were found associated with the outcome of disease, showing p-value lower than 0.05. Now, coming to the last part, that is conclusion. This study revealed that the continuous presence of echinococcus in the area and its economic and zoonotic potential deserves serious attention by various stakeholders and policymakers. Policies must be made on dog keeping, including registration and elimination of stray dogs, promoting hygiene practices at abattoirs, and meat inspection. Control measures should emphasize the interruption of possible parasite transmission. In the end, I am grateful to the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan and Office of Research, Innovation and Commercialization, University of Veterinary and Animal Sciences, Lahore, to support this study. Thank you.